Bandai Namco has somewhat utterly failed gamers out there, but the real question is, will they be able to turn it around? What's good everyone, OJ here. Welcome back to another discussion video. Today we're taking a long look at Bandai Namco, their games, their franchises, what's coming up for them, and if they can turn things around just a bit here. So let's first start off with my favorite franchise from Bandai Namco, and that is the Naruto franchise. You guys all know, huge Naruto fan here, but I'll be honest, the games lately have been pretty bad to just average or mediocre. Now, there used to be a time, trust me on this guys, that the Naruto games were really good, but Bandai Namco didn't make these. This is the Clash of Ninja series. This series is pretty much dead at this point with Bandai Namco taking over the Naruto franchise. What we've gotten is the Ultimate Ninja Storm games, and while these games are cinematic and flashy and really cool to look at, there's not a lot of substance within the gameplay. It's a lot of one button and a direction type of combos and kind of just looking at people do crazy things on screen, which is fun in small bursts, but for that in-depth type of gameplay, it kind of misses the mark. Now, they tried to rectify that a little bit with the Shinobi Striker series, but it's an always online type of game, and there was just issues across the board. And the community for that game is pretty much dead at this point. So where do they go from here? Well, I personally feel what they should do is take a long look at the mechanics of the game and who is going to develop it. Do they want to have a long-lasting game that they can make a lot of money off of and can be competitive in addition to being fun for Naruto fans? Look at what they did with Dragon Ball FighterZ. That's exactly what that franchise turned into after having numerous years of mediocre to pretty good games. The Xenoverse games, people do love those with all the content, 3D arena fighter type of game, but I would love to see them kind of take the Naruto franchise and steer in the direction of a Dragon Ball FighterZ. Not to have the exact same gameplay, but get a developer that knows how to make 2D fighting games, get a developer that knows how to do in-depth combos and have some more substance to the gameplay, and of course you can have an amazing DLC release schedule and everything. So I do feel that hopefully they can turn things around with Naruto, because Shinobi Strikers wasn't good. The Ultimate Ninja Storm series can be fun in short bursts here and there. It's definitely lacking the depth that I would like from what we saw before with the Clash of Ninja series. So we'll see what they do with Naruto, and I'm hopeful, but we haven't heard anything from them in terms of what's next for Naruto after Shinobi Strikers kind of flopped out there. Heck, they were giving it away for free at like the last Bandai Namco event that they did. They were just like, hey, if you register, you can get a free copy on PC. So I don't know how that game is doing. Bandai Namco hasn't talked about it too much, but from what I've heard with the sales, definitely not doing so well. So let's see what the direction they go in going forward. I'm hoping they go with more of a competitive, substance-based gameplay, kind of like the Clash of Ninja series was, which is a really unique mix between like a 2D fighter and like Tekken, right? It kind of reminded me of that because you can like sidestep in 3D and stuff, but it moved on like a blade. So hopefully they have something like that for us, or maybe they do something that's just better than what they've been doing recently on the platform. Now let's move on to what Bandai Namco has been doing recently. So we've gotten a couple different My Hero games, My Hero 1 and My Hero 2, the One's Justice games, which once again, those are arena fighters. They do have a little bit of depth within the combat. They have some online play. They're not bad arena fighters, but at the same time, they're definitely lacking some oomph and once again, lacking a bit of substance. They're fun to play in short bursts, but it's not anything that I'm too crazy about when it comes to the mechanics and kind of how things work. These arena fighters are starting to get really dull from Bandai Namco between the Ultimate Ninja series and also between My Hero, and Xenoverse is probably the best one out of their arena fighting series for animes, but they're just starting to get really dull. I'm getting kind of tired of these arena fighters, and My Hero from the first one to the second one kind of showed that staleness. Although the second one is better, it's still not good enough to me when it comes to how good the animes are, right? You watch Naruto or you watch Dragon Ball Z or you watch some of these other shows, and then you play the game and you're like, man, that's not too great. Like, the only game that maybe lives up to it is Dragon Ball FighterZ, right? That's the only one that kind of lives up to it, and maybe even Xenoverse. But a lot of the other IP, Bandai Namco's definitely been slacking a little bit. So once again, just like Naruto, I would like to see My Hero kind of go in a little bit of a different direction, get some more depth within the gameplay, kind of make it more like Pokken. I think that would be a good area for that game to go and have basically two types of modes. You have your 2D mode or your fighting mode, and then you have your 3D mode with that. So I'm hoping they kind of go in that direction, which would be different from the fighters or different from what Naruto can do, yet still separate itself as a game that's not the same as the other top anime franchises that Bandai Namco has. Now, we still have a little bit more to talk about here, guys, and that is Jump Force, the 2019 Fighting Game of the Year nominee from the Game Awards with Jeff Keighley. Yeah, it's that good, right? No, a little bit of sarcasm on there, but Jump Force recently released on the Nintendo Switch, and I'm pretty sure people are gonna buy it and enjoy it, but I really hope they never go back to that art style again. I'm not exactly sure what they were going for, but then again, I think I know what they're going for. They were going for the American audience. They were going for the people that see these characters and say, oh, look at these hyper graphics. Look at this. Buy this game with all these different nostalgic characters from across all these different animes. And when you have a fighting game like this, it's almost impossible for the fighting game to actually be like really good, right? Like, it's almost impossible for the game to be super good just because there's so many different types of characters and everything. I mean, yes, we've got Super Smash Brothers, but that's a completely different formula and what they're doing. This is another arena fighter. Bandai Namco and their arena fighters, man. Like, there's so many of them. So another arena fighter for Jump Force. I think they probably could have made a much better game if it was just a 2D fighter with all those different characters. It probably would have been a lot better, but then again, people kind of get intimidated by that. I mean, I'm not really sure what they're thinking. Maybe it's just easier for them to make these arena fighters, but for me, once again, Jump Force on the Switch, it's okay in terms of how it runs and how it looks. Unreal Engine 4, but at the same time, the game just still isn't good. It's still the same not good game from the PlayStation 4 that we got last year. So there's not really much good that I can say outside of, hey, they actually got it looking good and running somewhat okay on the Switch, especially from that first trailer that we did see. So Jump Force, I mean, whatever. There's more DLC coming out and stuff like that. So if you're into it, then that's fine. Then you're into it. Now, I have referenced the one thing that Bandai Namco really has going for it, and that is Dragon Ball FighterZ. That is a really good game, and people are loving the DLC despite the numerous versions of Goku coming out with Kid Goku and Ultra Instinct Goku and SSGSS Goku and regular Goku and adult Goku, or what was it, base Goku? I mean, there was just so many different Gokus. So despite that, the game is still really good. People are playing it online, still has a competitive community, and it's the best-selling Dragon Ball Z game of all time, which tells you something. When you actually put in the time and effort, get a great developer, and build some substance into the gameplay, then you're going to get people to buy the game more. Dragon Ball FighterZ has sold more than all of those arena fighters outside, I think, like Xenoverse. Xenoverse has sold pretty well, but that's just Dragon Ball Z too. But in terms of from the other games out there, it's sold so well. So once again, Bandai Namco, think about that for some of the other franchises. Dragon Ball FighterZ, I don't really have too much negative things to say. They've continued to update it, make the online play better, do what they can to upgrade the game, continue to release DLC, kind of had Master Roshi just announced as well recently. So that's pretty good. So thumbs up for Bandai Namco on Dragon Ball FighterZ. Don't have too much negative to say. Heck, there was even a story that they're going to be potentially permanently banning rage quitters in Dragon Ball FighterZ, which has been a problem since the game released, you know, in the past couple years. So that's pretty good too. If you're constantly rage quitting over and over and over and people aren't getting their points, especially if the match is okay, you know, and there's not a lot of lag and stuff, nah, we can't be having that. So yeah, constant rage quitters going to get banned potentially from Dragon Ball FighterZ if you continue doing that. So that's one thing that they have going for them. The continued support and the continued upgrades and DLC is really propelling Dragon Ball FighterZ to be a really good, one of the best competitive fighting games at this point. Now let's get into Bandai Namco and what's going on in the future for them. We have a TGS 2020 preview from them, which I can't talk too much about it because I don't know. I tried to look up like what they're going to be showing off. What I do know is that they have a nice block on September 27th. They have a nice primetime block to where they're going to be showing off some stuff. Now, what I would expect to see is the new DLC for Code Vein. That's a game that's done fairly well on the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. We'll see if there's an announcement of a Switch version of that game since it is running on Unreal Engine 4, and there was some murmurs about that, but nothing solid when it comes to it, so maybe more speculation than anything, but we'll see if there's a Switch port of that game, which for those who don't know, Code Vein is like a Dark Souls type of game, but like anime Bandai Namco style. So I played the game for a number of hours. I think it's pretty good. I just don't really feel like playing Dark Souls style games anymore, but I feel it's all right. It's not a bad game. So they have that going for them just a bit. And then also the next big game that Bandai Namco's going to be showing off a lot, or they've already showed it off quite a bit, but Scarlet Nexus. That's a game that got some more information as well. So Scarlet Nexus has some performance stuff that's going on here. We have some information on that. So it's going to be running at a nice and crisp, clean 4K 60 frames per second on the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5. And of course, if your PC is strong enough, you'll be able to do that, especially with those new NVIDIA 30 series graphics cards that were just announced. Pretty good prices on those too, but yeah, you'll be able to get yourself some nice 4K 60, maybe even higher if Bandai Namco supports that. But yeah, 4K 60 frames per second on Xbox Series X and also on PlayStation 5. Now, if you're buying the game on PS4 or on Xbox One, the game will be 1080p 30 frames per second. So you do get a nice little upgrade if you're going for the next gen versions of Scarlet Nexus. And from what I've seen, a lot of people have compared some of the aesthetics and the style to Astral Chain, and I'm all about it. The game looks really cool. Now, I can't show you guys footage of it because Bandai Namco, they hate when people talk about their games before they release and it's not the regular gameplay. You can't use trailers and stuff or they claim everything, which is another problem. Bandai Namco, stop claiming stuff when people want to talk about your games. I mean, it's free advertisement for you guys, but whatever. But yeah, Scarlet Nexus, 4K 60 frames per second on next gen. It's looking pretty cool. I mean, the story might be kind of cheesy and we've been through this before. Bandai Namco games always look really cool, and then the game's released and it's like a 75 on Metacritic. Like, it's good, but then there's like a bunch of faults with the game. So I'm cautiously optimistic about the game. I think it looks dope, but I'm a little bit hesitant when it comes to Bandai Namco because it's Bandai Namco, you know, like they're not necessarily the developer that's going to go out there and when they make something new, it's going to be like, oh my gosh, this is like a 90 rating on Metacritic or something like that. Like, when was the last time that we saw that from Bandai Namco with any of their new single player or different styles of game? They're kind of in the lower echelon when it comes to things, but their brands are so popular, people always just buy it. So can this be a 90 Metacritic game? Probably not. You know, and Metacritic isn't everything, but I mean, at the same time, you'd like to kind of see them kind of reach that high level of acclaim that Dragon Ball FighterZ did, but for their single player games. So we'll see if Scarlet Nexus can get anywhere near that. Heck, I'll even take like 80s at this point from Bandai Namco. I mean, Code Vein was like a 70s type of game. Obviously, their My Hero and Naruto games aren't really high up there either. So I'll even take like an 84, 85. I think that would be like a breakthrough for Bandai Namco when it comes to their single players or franchises outside of Dragon Ball Z. So we'll see what happens here with Scarlet Nexus. I know I'm cautiously optimistic to see how good this game can be. So that's my preview and kind of my thoughts on Bandai Namco. I mean, obviously there was a lot of negative, but I definitely put in some positives. I mean, and that's what I meant by kind of failing gamers out there, because their games haven't been up to the quality standards that I think even Bandai Namco knows that they can achieve. They've got great IP, and I know they can do a lot better than what they are actually doing. And hopefully we see that with their games coming up for the end of 2020. I don't think they have too much for this year, but then also for 2021, I think that's when Bandai Namco can really see if they can turn things around quite a bit. So what are you guys' thoughts on Bandai Namco? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Check out the links in the description. We got Twitter. Go and give us a follow on there. Stay up to date on all the latest gaming news and information. Also, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and share this video if you can. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll catch you for the next one. Peace.